What's up, guys? Badger1 here with Badger Team, continuing on my making videos of games other than ARMA 3 that I like to play. Most of these games are flight sims, but I do like sims altogether, so I'm just going to kind of do a bunch of videos of the other stuff that I like to play. This is probably next to Strike Fighters, probably my second favorite game that I've spent a lot of time playing. And this is called IL-2 1946. This is the IL-2 series of games. I think there's 4 or 5 of them now. This one was kind of the middle one that they made. IL-2 Sturmovik was the first one. I can't remember what was number 2, but I think this one came third, IL-2 1946. They have since made IL-2 Cliffs of Dover, and they've got IL-2 Stalingrad now. But it is a fairly in-depth, not as in-depth as DCS World or some of those, but it has a lot of customizable features for pretty much any PC pilot. If you like to fly easy with a lot of with not very much engine management or true flight characteristics, you just like to get into a game and fly around and shoot down enemy fighters, this is the game for you. It does have options setups where you can come into the options menu and sort of dial it up so that you're having to fly a little more complicated things like complex engine management, fuel oil mixtures, prop angle, that kind of thing. You can do all of that with IL-2 1946. IL-2 1946 is called 46 because it goes 1 year post-war to include a few of the jet fighter aircraft that came along in 1946. Of course, they did have a few jet fighters towards the end of the war, but they weren't really put in production quick enough to really make a difference, especially on the German and the Russian side. But there are 3 or 4 different not German, but fighter aircraft that are jet powered in this game that they included when they launched it. This game is highly moddable. There's a huge modding community still for not just the IL-2 series of games, but for 1946 in particular. Modders are still making skins, aircraft, missions and content and stuff for this game. CombatAce.com and MissionForToday.com are 2 of probably the best websites for the IL-2 series to get content. But really, I just wanted to fire the game up and kind of show you what it's all about, because it really is a lot of fun, especially if you're a fan of World War II flight sims. So this is the first screen that pops up after the load screen. From here, you can do everything from go into the mission editor to build yourself a full mission, or you can build a full campaign. It has a quick mission builder button. If you just want to fire the game up and pick an aircraft and a few enemy aircraft and get right into a fight, you can do that. It does have a multiplayer feature, although not very many people multiplay IL-2. Most PC pilots that fly the IL-2 series have moved on to either Cliffs of Dover or Stalingrad, mostly because of the multiplayer interface and the graphics are better in those 2 games. But even though this is an older game, the graphics are still pretty good in my opinion. You combine that with the way that you can set up the game to be as complicated or as simple as you want. It kind of appeals to me. It has a single mission option for all of the flyable countries in the game, both Axis and Allied side. There's at least, and most of these are kind of like training missions, but some of them are actual combat missions. So like this one, this is Imperial Japanese Navy. You can choose any of these aircraft and take part in the attack on Pearl Harbor, first or second wave. You can also do the first Battle of Midway. So that's the single mission screen. You can create full pilot careers in this particular game. You can do that just by creating new, clicking new, and then you can choose your preferred country. If you want to fly Axis side or Allied side, just come in here and choose one. It does give you the option on most of these countries to fly either as a bomber pilot or a fighter pilot. You can choose the rank at which you start, which is basically like the difficulty setting. And then the difficulty button is where you can come in here and choose the difficulty level for this particular pilot for this career. So if you want to fly as a complex and manage all of these things in your flight model, you can. Everything from separate engine start, which means you're probably going to be starting on the runway where you have to manage your takeoff. Complex engine management, your engine can't overheat, torque and gyro effects. You can do all this stuff. You can either click it or unclick it. You can come in here and manage your weapons. You can select realistic gunnery, limited ammo, limited fuel, bomb fuses, fragile torpedoes. So if you're doing a torpedo run on a plane and your torpedo has the prospect to actually malfunction and not even go off or break altogether when it hits the water. Realistic bombing, where you actually have to use the bomb sight in your bomber. There's several bombers in the game. A-20s, B-25s, I think, for the Allied side. There's a few Russian ones as well. I don't think I've ever seen a British bomber in here, but I could be wrong. I'd have to look and see. The views, you could do all these different external views from your cockpit. You can make flying by map by using icons and that kind of thing simpler. You can choose whether or not you could basically make your plane invulnerable, so you can fly a whole campaign and never have to worry about getting shot down. Pilot vulnerability, you can choose if you get a bullet through the windscreen and it actually hits you. Your plane may be okay, but if you take a bullet, you're probably not going to be able to fly much longer, so you can check or uncheck that. Basically, if you want to come in here and fly a realistic World War II pilot campaign, you can do realistic settings. It will check all of these, and you're basically going to be flying a pretty true to life situation as far as a pilot goes during the war, and that's for any side if you play Axis or Allies. So one of the things that I usually do before I jump into one of my pilot careers is I like to come in here and do a little warm-up, and you can do that through the Quick Mission Builder. This is the Quick Mission Builder screen. This is this section up here is your Allied aircraft. This is where you're going to choose your enemies that you're going to be fighting against. These are all the different parameters that are going to set the tone for this particular engagement. You can choose your starting altitude. You can choose to be at a disadvantage in engagement. So if you're flying along and you get jumped by enemy fighters, you can also switch that around where you're jumping enemy fighters and you have the surprise factor. You have an option of choosing where you want to fly. So if I wanted to fly in the Pacific Theater, I can choose one of these Pacific Theater maps. If I wanted to fly in the Mediterranean, I could do that. If I wanted to fly over Normandy, I could do that as well. There's a Normandy map there. You can also fight on the Russian front. Smolensk, Slovakia. Cuban is another, and the Crimea. All these are going to be Eastern Front maps. This is a really fun one to do. Coral Sea Online 1. It's basically the Battle of the Coral Sea with carriers and battle groups on both sides in the ocean. You start off on a carrier deck. You launch in your chosen aircraft, and you are immediately engaged by literally dozens of Japanese fighters, and it's quite the furball. Pretty fun game to play. So you can choose up to four friendly aircraft to fly in your flight. Here is going to be your plane selection screen. I'll go ahead and come over here and show you the kind of the planes that are available. I was flying earlier and was flying a Spitfire. but it starts off, all the Allied aircraft are in alphabetical order, so you can start off with bombers and go all the way down. You fly a Buffalo, Wildcat. Right now I have it set on the RAF, but if you wanted to change it to the Navy, you could do so. F4F Wildcat, FM2 Wildcat. Every model of Corsair that came out during the war. Early Hellcat, and then a late model Hellcat. And for every one of these aircraft, there are usually skins, so you can actually change the paint scheme of the plane and come in here and do late war. The other Hellcat, I think you can do the 3-color. No, not that one. On the Corsairs, maybe. Yeah, 3 tones paint scheme. So you have the white underbelly, light blue middle, and then the dark navy on top. It's a pretty cool paint scheme. I've always liked those colors on that aircraft. So you get down, then you have British Hurricanes. I'm going to change these markings to the Royal Air Force. You just do it like that. Then we have some Russian aircraft starting in 35, and then it just kind of goes on down through the war as the aircraft got better and progressed. There's some Stromovics, IL-2s. You want to change these markings to Russian and do it like so. If you want to preview your aircraft to see what it looks like with that particular skin, you can just kind of click on this window here and it'll show you kind of a 360-degree view of what the plane's going to look like when you're flying it. So you get down here, like I said, they're all in alphabetical order. So if we wanted to see, here's some early MiGs. Here's one of the 1946 aircraft. This is a MiG-9, one of the first Russian jet fighters with the MiG designation. Massive cannon in the middle, and then you've got 2 smaller machine guns located just under the nose. It's a twin-engine fighter. Pretty cool. Come down here, we've got our P-38s with Russian markings on them. Let's change those to U.S. Air Force. It's another kind of a cool thing if you wanted to put nose art. If you're choosing U.S. Air Force aircraft, you could actually have nose art on your plane. And you click it and put it on there, and it gives you some nose art. It's a pretty cool option. P400, P39s, and you have your early Hawks. If you want to fly with Flying Tigers, you can do that. So let's do that. Let's leave our Hawk. No, let's pick a P40B. Or C. Let's keep the Hawk. Hawk 81A. We'll leave the American Volunteer Group markings on there for the Flying Tigers. We'll have 4 of us, and let's engage some zeros and see how we do. I think I passed them. They were above the BF-109s. There we go. Let's do some A6M3s. And you can even actually skin your enemy aircraft if you don't like the way they look. You can come over here and skin them like so. The radio squawk that you're hearing is from a sound mod that I have in my game. It drastically improves the engine sound, the overall engine sound. Let's leave one white and put ARMA markings on it. Let's do that. Engine sounds and gun sounds, flyby sounds, it pretty much changed the entire sound of the game. So we don't want to fly over Normandy. Let's fly over This NGNB 943 is a Pacific Island map. We'll leave the altitude at 1500 and we'll fly. Hopefully I have my sound levels turned to a point where you can hear me over my mic, over the engine of the aircraft. So let's just come in here and fly, and I'll give you kind of a look at what the aircraft looks like. All the different views. So this is the
fighter. Get ahead.
It's really loud. That's better. So this is the inside of our Hawk 81A. You can look down in the cockpit. You've got full controls that work. All the gauges on the control panel will actually register what they're supposed to. We are flying chase behind our 4 A6M Zeros. You can do an external view of your plane, like so. So where's our wingman? They're back here. You can do a flyby view. This is sort of a chase view, and I'm fixing to have to go to work because these enemies split on me. So let's take away our cockpit and just put us a gun sight. So that's one down. True to historical. Whoa! I just got smoked. No recovering from that.
Number 1, good kill, good kill.
We're done. I think I have vulnerability turned off. That's why I bounced. Otherwise I would have just burned. Let's check our difficulty and see. No, we are vulnerable. I wonder why we hit and didn't blow up. Let's do realistic pilot vulnerability. Okay. Well, that was kind of short-lived. Let's try this again. Pay attention a little bit better. Get my speed up. Go ahead and change my view. See if we can do a little bit better this time. As I was saying, true to historical accuracy, these Zeros do not have self-sealing fuel tanks, so it just takes a few rounds. And they'll do that. Just burst into flames. Pull a loop here and see if we can get behind this other guy. There he is. Now he's gonna outmaneuver me. Don't have the airspeed. Maybe. See if I can pick up some energy here. Turn. There he is. Pilot just jumped out. Alright, where'd these other two guys go? They just took off running. guess they didn't want to fight. And I'm not going to chase them down. I just didn't want to fight at all. They just ran. Alright. So let's do a little bit different of engagement now. Let's pick a Spitfire. Let's do a 9E from 44. And let's engage some BF-109s. Let's do some G6s. If you notice, it's on Japanese Army and we want German aircraft, so let's change these. To and this is going to be a little bit different of an engagement because of the aircraft involved. Spitfire is way faster, way more maneuverable, and I have cannons in my wings now. Which are extremely beneficial because his cannons will reach out and punch rounds way farther than my .303 caliber machine guns. And let's fly over Normandy. Believe these BF-109 G6s also had a cannon in the nose and are using 8mm machine guns. But it's definitely going to be a faster dogfight just because of the aircraft being faster. We'll leave it on the cockpit view so you can kind of see what that looks like. And I've got Russian markings on my plane. So we're a Russian Spitfire. So if you choose a Russian nationality, your wingmen will speak Russian to you. Totally missed him. Let's see if we can get back behind them. That's one down. And there is an option where you can turn these pointers off. Looks like my wingmen are actually did some good this time. This is sort of a cool view. It kind of locks onto the enemy so you can see them from wherever you're. I think that 109 is going down, but it may still be trying to be in the fight. Let's swoop down there and get him. Just make sure that he's going to stay down. Golly. He is not having it. He's going to try to save it. Nah, he's done. So that was pretty good. We got 2 and didn't get shot down that time, so that's a plus. Anyway, really cool game. If you like World War II flight sims and you're looking for something that you haven't played, that's a scalable challenge, something you can make as easy or as complicated as you want. IL-2 1946 is probably something you want to check out. I've been playing this game for, gosh, 5 or 6 years now, and it's still fun. I'll still come in here and play it, probably at least 2 or 3 times a week. Just if nothing else, just doing quick mission builders and just coming in here and flying. But anyway, I'll try to get some more videos up of me doing pilot careers, and maybe let you guys watch and follow along as I do one of my pilot careers. You can see the pilot careers are historically based, depending on where you the pilot that you pick and the country that you choose. You can do anything from fighter intercepts to strategic strike missions on air bases and bridges, and close air support for ground troops. So you can actually strike trains and all that kind of thing if you're doing a European campaign. You can go after ground targets like tanks and egg batteries and that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll try to get some more flight videos up soon. Thanks for watching.